Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the workshop for web development. Today we'll be talking about how to create like some simple project for web development. First, so like to get
Lamo.
yeah
No, this
like
guy's goaded. You
uh,
can tell he's goaded by the accent.
okay, okay. So like here are some like basic resources to help you get started. So if you haven't not installed Visual Studio yet, so here is a link for you to do so. Let me see if I can uh, send it in the chat right here. So if you have not installed Visual Studio, here's a link. And we might also like talking about how to use Git. So here's a link for you to get started as well. So we are talking about how to start like the basic introduction to HTML. You guys can like click on the links and set it up. We are talking about it if you haven't already. And here is a short guide to create a GitHub repository. So when we are finished with the project, we will be able to like connect, like upload our code to the GitHub repository. So here's like short information on how to create a repository. And if you have not made a GitHub account already, like please to do so. It's not only just for this workshop, it also helps a lot when you're like trying to create projects in the future. And yeah, finally, here's a like pretty useful website like for like referencing like all the CSS properties. So like if you have any experience with past like the web development, you probably like when you're trying to create a website, like you want to adjust like some of the CSS properties for some of the HTML elements. You like sometimes like you cannot recall like which like parameters you should like change for. So like the text font, the font size, the font family, like the border radius, like the color, like what parameter you had to use, like what like if you had like a border like you had to put the border width, the border color, and etc. So this website is pretty it's kind of like a dictionary for CSS. So if you have any trouble with like CSS now or in the future, you can use this as a reference. And I think that's it. So that's the 4 resources I have right now, which can help you guys get started. Oh, okay. Let me try to screen share my Visual Studio. Let me try to switch my screen to Visual Studio now. Okay. Okay, so now let's briefly talk about what some basics of HTML. So like at every single like HTML file, you first begin with left bracket, exclamation mark, then doc type HTML. So this is like a mandatory line you have to type in every single HTML file. And if you do not have this line, then like the browser will probably not able to recognize that this is indeed HTML that it is looking at. So for HTML files, like every time when you put a like tag, you also have to place a closing tag. So if you have like a HTML, this tag is considered of a left bracket and a right bracket, and inside the left and right bracket, you have like some like name inside of it, and this thing together is called a tag. And every time when you have an open tag, you also want to have a like closing tag. And a closing tag is identical to an opening tag, except it have like slash in front of like the name inside of this left and right bracket. So so like every time when you have a HTML file, this is what you want to include. And then you want to include the HTML like tag, and inside of it, you want to have a header tag as well as a body tag. Oh, zoom in the whole text. Okay, yeah, let me do that. Is it better? Yeah, so like, yeah. Okay, so every time like when you like write the tag, you want to have a closing tag, and because Visual Studio is an IDE, which means that like it's like a tool to help you like work faster with like typing code out. So every time when you write a like opening tag, like it automatically completes the closing tag for you, which is pretty convenient. So So now we have the header and the body. So what header tag do is that it contains all the information about the website that is invisible to you while browsing the website in the header. So like something kind of like the website's title. So so when you open like a new tab, like on the tab, you have like a small like icon, which is called a favicon, and then have like short title text next to that favicon. Those two informations are placed inside the header, which is not placed in the body, because like that's the purpose of a header. Header also helps like defining like the port size of your website. Also like help like importing all the CSS files, which we will be talking later on in the headers. So that is so like every time like when like a browser machine scans your HTML file, like it will first look at the header tags and then look at the body tags. And let's say for this website, let's say the title, EcoHacks workshop website number 1. And for the body, this is where like everything is going to happen. So every time when you put stuff in this body tag, like when you render this in like a browser, like the websites are, so things like the browser is going to show are only going to appear like inside the body tag. So so generally like in a website, like it consists of 3 elements. So navbar, like entire article, and then a footer. What a navbar is that like it's like you can have like usually when you go to a website, you can see like a horizontal bar on top of the website, and when you scroll up or down, like the bar just sticks like on the top of the website. That is called the navigation bar. But sometimes like it's like the bar that doesn't like stick to the top, but it's still like it's a navigation bar, and it includes all the links to different like mini websites from that website. So if like I have like let's give an example. So if I have like a market like website, and for like all the links that can happen like in the navigation bar, I can have like selling shoes in the first link, selling like clothes in the second link, and maybe like selling selling like helmets like in the third link. So we can for us like we can just say EcoHacks workshop, and for links we can use the A tag, which is called shorthand for anchor tags, and we can use that for the links. And for this one, I can just say check out EcoHacks, and to redirect it to a new link, we write hypertext reference, which is href, and we have https ecohacks.net. And for the second link that can be included in the navigation bar, we can maybe have okay, so let's say title, and okay, and we can have a hypertext reference to this title here. And if you want to reference something like inside the same website, you can just add a hashtag to it. But because like and actually adding a hashtag is not just enough. And for this title here, you want to also wrap another tag of it, and then place ID in the tag that wraps around the title, so that like when you click this anchor link, like it can see, it can find like this this reference in this tag. Okay, so let's say, so every time like when you design like a website, like the most basic element is called a div, which stands for divider, and like it doesn't really do anything, but it's just like a placeholder tag which allows you to like separate elements. And you can have ID which title. So every time when you click this link here, like it will like inside, because this is inside the same website, it will redirect to this title here. And now we have the navigation talked about. Now we talk about like article. Actually, I think like maybe instead of just sharing the Visual Studio Code, I think I can like share the Chrome browser as well. Okay, so here I have the webboard. So maybe, okay, so like for like, you know, like inside a website, here, like at the top, we have like a rectangle, which is the navigation bar. And beneath it, we have this article. This is the article tag. Oh, and we have like at the bottom, we have like the footer. This is the nav. And over here, you have an element called aside. Oh, my handwriting is not really great when I'm tracing on with a mouse, aren't I? So for generally for a website, it consists of nav, article, aside, and a footer. So and we have here we have like we can create an article, and for here we can have say we can drop this into this article tag, and then we can say hello.
Sharing screen.
Oh, I'm not sharing screen. Oh, okay. Oops. Hello, this is Jeffrey Zhang. And for aside, I can say this workshop is hosted 9 September 2nd, 2022, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. So if I do it properly, when I render this HTML code, it should have the aside element on the like part on the side of this website, and this article element on the center of this website. And for the footer, we can have like this website is created on September 2nd, 2022. So this contains like the general structure for what a website is consists of. And generally, like when you start developing a website, like usually you don't have to include all those specific HTML tag. Usually you can just use div, and like you can replace all those tags with just the div tag, and then you can just modify like what each of those tags do with like CSS. So so like, okay, let me just show you. So instead of having like aside, you can just write div and then write like class aside. So what this is doing is that it applies a class, like a class is like a modifier to an HTML tag. And if you apply like you insert aside as like one of the class for the div element, when you edit like the CSS file for the class aside, it will modify this element so that it behaves just like the aside tag. So this is equivalent to this if you have like modify the aside CSS file. Okay, now let's run this in the browser and see what happens. Okay. Okay, so as you can see here, like you have the navigation bar, EcoHacks workshop, and check out EcoHacks. And here is the title. And when you click the title, you can see that like the URL link to this website changed, and they have the hashtag title next to it, because this like the content inside this website is fairly small. So when you usually if like there's a lot of content, so if there's a lot of content, when you click this anchor link, like it will slide, like the website will actually scroll automatically for you until it arrives at the section which this anchor tag is pointing to. And if you see here, like this is fairly what we expected. So inside the body element, we have the EcoHacks, the navigation bar, and here we have the article, and beneath that we have the footer. Because this is just done with pure HTML, we have not added in any like extra like CSS element into it. This is like a fairly plain like website, which doesn't like seem very interesting. So let's like decorate this a bit. Okay. Let's create a new file. Okay. Called styles.css. And let's decorate this article here. And class, we can let's wrap a box around this article. And we can modify this box using we can reference the class box by writing like dot here, and then write class and write class box, and we can put bracket next to this box and write some properties that can modify this box. So if you have checked like the CSS resource I have sent in the channel, like there's a few properties you can like edit with. So one of them is margin, which is controlling like the spacing of this element with other elements. And there's also padding, which is like controlling the spacing, but it adds like the spaces inside of the element itself, instead of having like extending the space outside of this element. We can have a margin of, let's say, 5 pixels, and padding of 5 pixels. And let's add like let's add like draw like a border around this box, and set like the border width to like 2 pixels, and make the border solid and have a color of silver, and make the border radius 5 pixels as well. So what border radius is it rounds the 4 corners of the border and then make it look more rounded than having like sharp edge. And let's display this as a block. So what this does is that it makes this display as like a so actually by default it displays automatically as a block, but sometimes like it gets glitchy, so you want to like clarify that this does display as block. So what display as a block do is that it just acts like a normal element. When you scroll up and down, it doesn't take the space of others, and it have like its own physical space inside of the website. And now let's just Control S and save this CSS file, and then Control S and save this HTML file as well. And then let's run it in the browser and see what happens. And Control R, refresh. Oh yeah, actually I actually did not implant the CSS in the HTML, so I forgot to do that. And now I should do that to make sure that the CSS file is actually connected to the HTML file. So next to the header, So this is a perfect example of how headers work, because like for headers, like everything like you include in the header tag, like you will not actually see in the website itself. So here I will link this style the CSS file to this HTML file by inserting a link tag with a type called a style sheet, which is what CSS is, and have a reference into this styles.css. And let's see if this works. And as you see here, it actually worked. So like what the CSS box do is that like it wraps like a gray, like silver color square with a 2-pixel width, and it have like a padding of 5 pixels. So the space between like this letter T and this silver border here is 5 pixels, and the margin 5 pixels is the distance between this silver border here and like the bottom of this EcoHacks title text. So that is basically like some like a brief introduction to HTML. And because sometimes like when you like develop like a website, you don't want to like write everything in HTML or write like decorate the HTML with CSS, because that is like really time consuming. And sometimes you want to automate it. That is why there's there's more like advanced methods to do so. So instead of having like HTML, you can have like this really popular web development framework called React, where you can embed JavaScript like a programming language to run the HTML file for you. So if you have like a repeating list of like article tags, and you don't want to copy paste every single one into the HTML file, you can have like write a JavaScript and like iterate this one piece of code tag 10 times to have like it rendered in the website 10 times. And for CSS, if you sometimes when you have an element, like you have multiple elements that want to have like the same modifier, and some elements that have like one more modifier than the other, you want to have like and like then you create like multiple different like classes that handle. You can use what is called like a SAS, like CSS file, which is like CSS, except that each like modifier you decorate, you can put another modifier inside of this modifier. So like you can have the modifier itself as like property instead of another modifier, so that if the parent modifier properties can also influencing like its children modifiers. But you know, like all those like HTML, JavaScript, CSS, CSS, you have to like to the end, like you still have to code it yourself. So don't you think like it would be better if you can like just use like a external like resource, something like a template, like instead of having designing like some CSS for the box, for the text, how the text look, how large it is. So you want to like just have something like right out of the box. And that is where Bootstrap comes from. Bootstrap is like a CSS template, which you can utilize to help you quickly develop a website. And let me just show you a Bootstrap website. So here is the Bootstrap website. So like as you can see here, like all you need to do to use Bootstrap is just copy this link here. Similar to how we connected our styles CSS file to our HTML file, this link here connects their CSS file to your own website. And you can see here, like this type is style sheet, it's type of CSS, and this link here is what really means is just what really like this link does is that it redirects the HTML code to a really long section of CSS code. And if you could just copy this link and you paste it here, you can see here it's like, this is just like a giant CSS file. And it is also condensed, so there's no like tabs or spacings between it to save the size. So here's like the Bootstrap template, and let me just show you how you can use this Bootstrap in your web development. So when you use Bootstrap, the Bootstrap is consisted of multiple components, and you use Bootstrap by adding the Bootstrap related classes to your like HTML element class. So here are some examples you can have. So here is the alert component. So when you add this component in your website, you will see that like a rectangle with like rectangular box with like a text inside of it, and all you need to do to have this like blue colory text flavored section is just adding this. So you have a div and you add this is a primary alert, check it out, and all you need to do is add in the class alert and then alert primary. Oh, I think somebody is like drawing things on this like on here. Okay, never mind. Okay, I guess. And so you can have the modifier alert and the modifier alert primary to this div element, and then voila, you can have this shown on your web page. And remember, like when I was showing you like this plain HTML website, like everything here looks pretty plain, and just by using Bootstrap, adding like alert and alert primary, you can have like this right out of the box, which makes Bootstrap really convenient and popular. And here is like a second component called badges. So what it is have like it's similar to alert, except like it's rectangle that doesn't like spread to the width of the entire screen. Like it only stretches to as long as wide as like your text inside of it. So it kind of serves the purpose of highlighting a text. So, and all you need to do for that is add in the class modifier badge and badge secretary, and to change the color from like color gray to color green, you can just change this from badge secondary to badge success. And here is also like some additional components which we do not have to time to go over, but you can just feel free to check it out yourself. And now this is where the interesting happens, where I will be starting like to develop a website. Now you have talked through the basics. Okay, so let's write like let's design a website that is like an autobiography. So let me just remove this, and let me just remove everything here, and let's just say for this our website, all about me, and we can have a link to our own style sheet here, and as well as this Bootstrap style sheet.
Also, Jeffrey, like there's a question chat if you want
really?
to address.
Okay,
Yeah,
wait.
by Darren.
Okay, let me check. Oh, can you code React, HTML, and CSS on VS Code at once? And yes, you can. Like, so usually when I code on React, I barely bother with HTML because there's a file extension called MDX, if I remember correctly, which joins HTML code and JavaScript code together. So basically, you just write HTML code inside this React file you're working with. So you don't actually have to like do anything on a file called with the extension HTML. And you can also have like, because you can write CSS inside of HTML, and you can write HTML inside of this MDX, which is a file extension you use for React. And you basically can write HTML, CSS, and the React JavaScript like all inside of the same file. So, and if that doesn't work out for you, you can just have like multiple tabs open. You can have like CSS tab on like one CSS tab, CSS tab, and one HTML tab, and one tab just for like a JavaScript. So if it's using JavaScript, React, and CSS together just fine. Yeah, so yeah, it is fine. So yeah, so you're correct. Okay, so now we have, okay, so let's have this website all about me. And let's also link this Bootstraps, which we just talked about, which is just like a giant CSS file like this, but like 100,000 lines long. And let's have a body called, let's have article. And we have like a header, which is like makes a text really large, and it serves as like the heading for the website. There are like 7 different headings available. So each one, H2, H3, and so on. One is like each one is the largest, and H7 is the smallest. And for here, I can just write my name here, Jeffrey Zhang, and follow up to it. I can have a paragraph called which is use the letter P, and I can just say I'm currently a programmer who loves to create a website, create websites as a hobby. So if you if you render this in a cron, like it will show you Jeffrey Zhang as really large, and then you have like smaller text. I am currently a programmer who loves to create websites right beneath this heading here. And we can HTML also have this list function, which you can have you can create a list. Wait, you can create a list, and you can have elements inside of it. So okay, so I can say hobbies. So let's say, actually, instead of writing a list, I think it's better if I just write paragraphs for now, because I can modify it with the Bootstrap. So for hobbies, I can say I like to play a board game called Go. For the next hobby, I like to read and write. For the next one, drawing and design. And obviously, this is far enough for like a working website. So I can add some questions like, what country I want to visit, just some like filler questions to have. I can write a paragraph here, say I want to visit Japan because it is the scenery there is so nice. And I can have another question. So who I want to be in the future. I have a paragraph. I want to be a web developer. Okay, so now let's do, so if currently this is just pure HTML, and let me just show you how this renders in a website.
There's a question if you want to address it in chat.
Oh, another question? Okay. Oh, I have not refreshed. Let me refresh. Oh, so you see here, if I change like instead of just like a div, and I change it to H1 or H2, it actually enlarges the text size. Okay, so the question is, can you show us how to create a text box that can accept typed user input, store it, and display all responses? Oh, okay, so this actually, so I can show you how to create a text box that can accept typed user input, but in order to store it and display other responses, that will require you to have backend available. So basically, you can have like so users can type stuff like in a text box in the front end, and then you want to have like a database on the back end and have like something that can like receive the query from the front end and record those responses on the back end. And then like you want to have like another query that like asks to have like the data to request data from the database on the backend on back to the front end, so the users can see all the informations displayed from from the people who entered on the text box. So and I think that is kind of out of scope for this workshop. This one is just like purely front end, but for I can definitely link you some resources after this ends, because like this is like definitely like a useful topic. So when you want to like create something that is like involves both front end and back end. Okay, so another question. Hi again, I was wondering if it is possible to integrate embed an application on a website, and if so, how would one go about it? Okay, so you want to integrate the application. Okay, so yeah, usually it depends on which kind of application like you want to integrate. So for example, if you want to have like a exe file, so you want to have like an executionable file, like some kind of software and you want to have that file to be run on the website, that would be like impossible, because otherwise it will be much easier for the hackers to request to steal like your data on your laptop or like personal computer, because like executable files can directly access the information in your computer just with like a single click of your button, and that in the oh, like server code, like what do you mean? So so for like it's really like hard like for like certain files to be integrated in a website, because like they can serve some potential dangers, and browsers like Chrome and the Internet Explorer like just won't be able to support it. But however, like if you can convert those executionable files to something that can be compiled into HTML, then you can definitely integrate those applications on the website. So so what do you mean by like a survey code? Okay, 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 I guess we can just continue on. So as you can see here, so this is the brief website without any further decoration, and now I will just show you how you can use Bootstrap to make this look better. So if you just go into the Bootstrap website and search through the components, you will see like one component called cards, which you can use, which is pretty useful. So let me just show you how you can use that. You can have like a div, that wraps around this hobbies section. And apply the modifier card. And instead of having, for the hobbies, I add another div around it and have a modifier called card body. And for this, I think I can just remove this and have a called class card title. So just by having this, so you can see here, like there's like this gray silver border around this this like hobby section here, and like you can see that there's some paddings and like beneath like this drawing and design and this border here like this. And you can also see a bit of margin between this border here and the header text following it. Oh, okay. So the question, so like placing a survey on the website, but it has been coded in a certain way, like how people add games on a website page. Oh, okay. So like it's actually a bit different for adding a survey and a survey on a website and a games on a website. For games, if you have heard of like a game engine called Unity, which so when you develop a website, when you develop like a video game on this game engine called Unity, there's like a way for you to compile your video game into HTML5, and then you can like import this HTML5 code, which is the video game compiled into the website, and then you can have your video game be able to run in the website, but that will require a compilation process. But for survey code, that is a bit different story. So like unless you have like a tool that can help you to compile whatever language the survey is being coded in, like it is like not not integrable to the website. But there's a few like tools you can use, like some third-party like companies which have developed service for like people to use and made it like the service really simple for web developers. Oh, okay. So if you just need anything, like you can just send it in the chat. And here I can just add another card to those questions here. Oh, yeah. So class modifier card body, and here div class card title, and you always want to have like a padding so it looks organized and it's easier to look at. So this is card title, and this is card body. And now if you just save this and run it on Chrome, you can see that all of those are converted into like cards. But now the problem arises is like those like header text no longer look like header text. They follow the same format as the paragraph. And now I will just show you how to change that. Okay. So because like I said before, you can have like CSS inside of the HTML code. So how you do that is write like a style as the parameter for this tag, and then you can say tag size. I think yeah, it's just size, right? No, let me just go to the CSS reference. So because like they have multiple like text size, font size, family size, and it keeps like mixing between those two. So I want to make sure that I actually got it correctly. Okay, so it is called font size. So let's say this is 10 pixels. Okay, so apparently that is too small. Let's say 100 pixels. And oh, apparently this is still small, but let's just keep it that way. But so you can have like CSS modifiers to those HTML codes, and basically you can just write inside the HTML instead of having like an external like CSS file and link that to the HTML file, then the modifiers to the CSS file.
Someone had a question
Oh, it's another
about
question. So where can you find the Bootstrap content to put in a class like Bootstrap docs to replace the CSS or CSS? Or where can, okay. Okay, so here's okay, so you see this. So this is the homepage for Bootstrap 4.0. By the way, they also have 5.0, but 5.0 Bootstrap, but that is a bit less stable. And 4.0 is currently like the most widely used. So like you should use that if like you just get started. And if you want to have like a referencing, you want to like have like a place to reference the Bootstrap classes, you can go to this website. Let me just copy and paste it here. And then go to the left, go to this menu section, and then click components. And here you can see all the possible Bootstrap components. And the one we just used is called cards. So here, like it can show you an example of what card does, and like it shows you like in order to create this section over here, all you need to do is have this code here, and like it also shows you like variety of ways to have like wait, I think I just sent in a direct message instead of everyone in the meeting. Okay, so to have like to create something over here, all you need to do is have like a section of code that all you need to do is type this section of code. And if you want to have this, you just need to type this. And so this is just for the component cards. You can have a carousel, which is like have like multiple different like images and text like inside of the same section. And when you click the right and left arrow, it will swap to the first image, second image, and third image. And by the way, you don't have to like code those arrows and like those images. Like it is already done for you by the Bootstrap. All you need to do is just like show the Bootstrap where the images are stored, and like assign each like element like class modifier that is coded by the Bootstrap, and then you can have this carousel. And here's like so yeah, so here's also like a list of components. You can just feel free to check it out in your own time. And here is this brief website I just coded, which doesn't really look good still, but I think how many minutes do we have left? So we currently 7:52. Okay, I think we can still get a bit more done. Okay, so let me just go back. Okay. So here is the code, like you see that creates the really plain website. But I think like that is probably all I can say like in this workshop. But let me before I go, I can just show you how how I coded like the website for the EcoHacks. So you see here, this website here, this is nothing more than just like a static website. I just like briefly coded like in this like half an hour time frame. And everything here is just done with simple HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. And you can see here this like first place, second place, third place. This here is basically just like another Bootstrap card component, and I just modify it so like the text looks greenish. And this here is like the Bootstrap like tag component, and which like highlights this text over here. And as you can see here, this is just like the Bootstrap Flexbox component. And over here, you can see this is the Bootstrap columns. If you have like resize this window, like it will actually stretches. So like each column is like a bit wider instead of like a bit like thinner than wider. So when the screen is like wider, the column becomes thinner, so more can fit in. And for the FAQ, like this is also done with Bootstrap cards. And like this, like who is allowed to participate. This is done with the card title, and this here is done with the card paragraph class modifier. And for this section here, this is also done with Bootstrap columns and rows. For this here, this is also done with Bootstrap columns and rows. So when you resize, when you make this window thin enough, like you can see that the join us button actually like appends to a new row instead of taking the same row as this section here. Okay, so just one more question to display a site. If we go with that, do we need to create a custom domain, or we can use subdomains to link on GitHub or use? Well, I can. So for your first part of the question, you don't necessarily have to create a custom domain. A custom domain like costs money, and just having a custom domain won't be enough for your website to be visible to everyone. You need to have like a website hosting service, so that like when people click on this domain, they will actually see the content of your website, other than just like a blank white screen. So and both the domain and the hosting service costs money if you want to follow the traditional way. But there's also some services that provides it for free, like GitHub, which GitHub and its services called GitHub page, and you can have your like website hosted on the GitHub page for free, but the domain will have like the github.com in front of it. So you don't necessarily have like a perfect clean domain, but you will do have like a free hosting service. But that only is available if your website is static, which means it's only pure front end and there's no backend connecting to it. And okay, so next question. So would you advise beginner to learn first all kinds of styles and learn, or just use Bootstrap right away? What would be a good practice? So what I would recommend is that like if you want to just learn through just like briefly scanning through all the like CSS properties. So like you don't have to remember them. You don't have to use them, and probably 90% of the time you are not going to use 90% of the properties listed in the like the documentation of the CSS website. But it is a good to have, because like sometimes when you like try to design something and you just kind of figure out what CSS property to use, you might just able to recall that you once read like there's this CSS property you can use. And this also helps you to use Bootstrap later on, because Bootstrap is made of like multiple, like consists of multiple CSS properties. And if you already understood like how those CSS properties work, then like you can better understand how like to use Bootstrap components to the best of like its your capability. So I would recommend you to like just, you know, like to first learn like the basics of like the CSS. And once you just get the hang of it, quickly switch to Bootstrap, because you are probably not going to use plain CSS anymore, but like it's helps you build the foundation of how to use the Bootstrap. And here is the website, and let me just show you the code for this website real quick. And here is the website. Here is the code for the EcoHacks website. As you can, like I said, like so, this header here. I think you can just use head or header either way. You can, so inside of here, you will never see in the website itself. It will be only visible to the website crawlers, like which is search engines like a Google. And there will be this is content left for the robots to see. Like you don't have to like you will never able to see it in the actual website. And inside the body, you can like you can see here is the navigation bar section. Here is the header section. Like this header here is not the header here. This is actually like this header is for the website to have like when you like first log into the website, you can see like a splash image. This is what this header means. Like it shows you like this like splash image when you first log into the website. It gives you like a really good impression. And here, like you can have like separate sections. Here, like this is where I list out like why we started this hackathon. And here there's like another section. So like about like a short introduction like to what our hackathon is, and like the hackathon rules. This is what this section is for. And then after that section, this section is for the prizes. And as you can see here, ID prizes. So when you see in the navigation bar, when you see like prizes, like this is actually an anchor link, like a hypertext reference to this prizes. So when you click this anchor link, it will actually will scroll down to the part of the website where it begins with the section ID prizes. So, and you can see here, this is a class modifier container, which is another Bootstrap component. And here you can see the class row card component from the Bootstrap, card body, and like card border. Those are also like Bootstrap components you can just check out. So here I just made like 11 copies of them for each prizes listed in the website. And so this is for the price section, and the section beneath that is the schedule section. Here, like you will have the event schedule. You have like a class row. So like inside each row, for the left column, we display the time, and for the right column, we display the event name. And for the row below that, we have a short description of what this event is. And for like next section, we have sponsors, which is also made by like columns and rows. And there's nothing too much interesting for that. And for the FAQ, it consists of multiple like Bootstrap cards. Like you can card header, card, you can card body, and so on. And there's also like team. This is also like consists of Bootstrap components. And here, this is the footer and container footer content. This is also, you can see there, those are like pretty like Bootstrap stuff. Like you can just directly use like by typing class, this like row, and automatically the CSS code needed for the row will be generated for you. And here are some additional Bootstrap links you can add. So for carousel component in the Bootstrap, it actually involves some sort of JavaScript, which you have to enable by copying pasting some of the Bootstrap JavaScript links to this HTML code here. So you can actually use the carousel component when you click the right arrow or left arrow, it actually slides between image to image. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it for the workshop. Hopefully you learn something from it. I will also, for that question, I will get back to you and I will give you some more resources. And I think that's it. Any other questions?
Yeah, definitely. If you guys have more questions after the meeting, we have a channel on Discord called Web Development Workshop, where you can ask your questions there, and Jeffrey will be able to respond there. We'll probably be able to post these videos by tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post them on YouTube, and we'll also link in announcements and ping everyone so you guys can have access to it.
Oh, actually, it should be in the video recording section, so it should be on Discord. You guys should be able to see a channel.
Yeah, thanks for you guys too for attending. And we look forward to seeing what you can do with this information. All right. Have a good night, and we'll see you at our other events and workshops and when you submit your projects. Yeah. Bye. Yeah.